Hey students, today is lesson 5. We're going to be using equations to solve for unknown angles. Goals today, say hi to Karen. Yep. I can write an equation to represent a relationship between angle measures, and I can solve equations to find unknown angle measures. So again, this goes back to, remember, the two things you need to learn is complementary and supplementary. Remember complementary, I can write this on here for you. Let me get my stylus here. So complementary, remember, is going to be 90 degrees. And then supplementary is 180 degrees, okay? And we can find these when we use these angles right by each other. We can add them up, and if they add up to 90 degrees, then it's complementary. If we add all the angles up, it's 180 degrees, which is supplementary, okay? And that's kind of what we're doing here, kind of creating the equation and solving it. So let's go for the warm-up. The question is it enough? Well, we see here that we have a line here with 3 angles, it looks like. It says Brady thinks that this figure has enough information to figure out the values of A and B. We want to create an equation with this, okay? So remember what I said. If it's a horizontal line, then all the degrees inside that horizontal line, so if I was doing this in red, from here to all the way over here, okay, all that should equal 180 degrees. Remember 180 degrees, what do we call that? We call that supplementary, okay? So if all of those are added up, they equal 180 degrees, I can create an equation by saying, well, I can add those all up together. So A plus 90 degrees plus B, and then all of that combined equals 180 degrees, okay? And that's our equation for that, okay? We can't necessarily solve this because we don't know what A and B are, right? We don't have any examples shooting out from it. But that's just where we're going to leave at, okay? That's the equation I want you to have. Let's try the next one. So same situation here. Looks like we have 180 degrees. What do we call that? Supplementary. But now here's what's weird. We have A over here is copied twice. So again, if we're trying to create an equation, you add them all up, and it should equal 180 degrees, right? Now let's combine those A's. So now I have 2A plus 90 equals 180. Okay, that's the equation you're trying to make out of this. Again, this is supplementary. If it was complementary, it'd be different, right? It'd be equal to 90. But because it's supplementary, it creates that horizontal line. So everything added, all the angles inside that horizontal line, right? That goes from this side to the other one, right? That goes on top of each other. That rotates, to 180 degrees. All those are added up to equal 180, okay? This one more. So if we compare these two, well, what do you notice the difference? I noticed that this right here, this B and A, those aren't the same, right? So we can say with the last example, with the 2A plus 90 degrees equals 180, we can say these are the same. And then these ones are different from each other, okay? They're different. All right, so that'll get to our next part where we're trying to actually calculate. I'll try to go a little bit quicker and more sufficient, right? So that you can get through this quick. What we're going to do now is we're going to write an equation and then we're going to solve for it, okay? So for example, number 1 here, if I was to try to solve for this, what am I solving for? I need to find what W is, okay? I need to find W. W is right over here. I'm going to highlight it in red or circle it. All right? Well, the best way to find what W is, I need to know 2 things, right? Are there vertical angles? And if it's not relevant to solving, is it supplementary or complementary? Okay, I can look at this and see, well, this W is connected to this 124, and I can add those 2 together, and that should give me 180 degrees. Do you see that? Again, notice how it's that horizontal or that straight line, right? If we go from one point and we rotate it, and it follows that line, then we know that this is going to be equal to 180 degrees. We call that supplementary, right? So I know that my equation now is going to be W plus 124 equals Add together, we get how many degrees? 180, right? So what do you need to do now? Well, it's simple. We can subtract 124 from 180. I see now that W should equal 56 degrees. Okay, so our answer for this one is 56 degrees is what W is. Again, you add 56 plus 124, that adds up to 108 degrees, right? Because it creates that supplementary rotation, there, okay? We got 3 more. You feeling good about it? Okay, looking at this horizontal line, I can see it starts from here and it goes over here, rotates to 180 degrees. So again, this is supplementary. And that should equal 180. All right, well, let's set the equation up. So if I'm trying to find B, I can set it up as 52 plus B plus 32 equals altogether 180 degrees. Well, combine your numbers first. So 52 plus 32, that's going to be 84 plus B equals 180. So now the question is now, what number B plus 184 will give you 180 degrees? We can do that by saying, what if I subtract 180, the bigger total, right, from that smaller portion? So we do 180 minus 84. We should get B should equal to 96 degrees. Okay? Again, this B should equal 96. If you're stuck still, pause the video, go back, but I want you to check this by adding all those numbers now, 52 plus 96 plus 23. If you get 180, then you're correct, okay? That means that you're solid, you're good. All right, 2 more. All right, now it's getting a little harder. So fun, right? Okay, don't freak out with this. Remember, there's 2 things we're looking at. First one is we're looking at, are there vertical angles? Again, I'll write this out again. First one, question is vertical angles. And then 2, is it complementary or supplementary? So remember, complementary is 90 degrees and supplementary is 180 degrees. Well, the first one is vertical angles. Well, it looks like I have some. I could say, well, this is crossing there. So see where that X is? The opposite to that is also X, okay? And now if I look at this, I can't really create that 180 degrees anymore. Do you see that? I don't really know what this is, and I don't really know what that is, so I can't just make that horizontal line and add all together. Same thing here. I can't go this diagonal way either because I still don't know where that corner, that angle on the top left, is going to be, okay? But I can see that this in red, okay, that is actually creating that right angle. That's 90 degrees, right? So that can be supplementary or complementary. It's supplementary, right? So supplementary means that everything added together should equal 90 degrees, okay? So now I have an equation of saying x plus 23 plus x, that equals 90 degrees, okay? So all those add together in that top left corner of what you see in that, I guess you can say that those angles in that graph there, they should all equal, added up together, 90 degrees, right? So now we have an equation. We can set this up as 2x plus 23. Remember, 2x's, x plus x is 2x, equals 90. Now I'm just solving an equation. I can be, okay, I don't know what x is, so let's subtract 23. So now I have 2x equals 90 minus 23, that's 70, that's 67. Okay, now 2 of those x's are equal to 67. To find one of those x's, I have to do what? If you said divide, you are correct. I have to divide by 2. So I need to take 67, divide it by 2, and that'll give me how much one of those x's are, right? So x should equal, we say 30, 33.5 degrees. Okay? So each one of those is equal to 33. Each one of those x's is equal to 33.5 degrees. Again, if you're stuck, pause it, go back, add them all up. Add these all up and see if you get 90 degrees. If you get 90 degrees, then you're solid, right? Last one. You feeling good? I'm feeling good. This is a hard one because now it's not just supplementary or whatever, right? We got all this stuff going on. If I look here, I'm trying to find M, right? That's what I'm trying to find. M is connected to with 66, it looks like, right? Well, if I look at that, that's not quite 180 degrees and it's not 90 degrees. Remember, 90 degrees makes a right angle, right? It makes a square kind of look shape, right? But it goes back to what I said before. First thing is vertical angles. Second thing is complementary or supplementary. The first thing is there vertical angles? If you said yes, let me show you why. Okay, so if I was to, I'll do this in green. If I was to extend, do you see this right here? If I was to extend that out, do you notice anything? Okay, if I was to extend those lines out, right, to create angles on that other part with 120, notice how they're pretty much the same. The reason why is because now you really have is this intersection. This would be a good level 4 question, by the way. Notice how this in red matches now that other part in red in the bottom half, okay? Because vertical angles are congruent. Do you see how I made those intersecting lines with the green color? Now you can see there's vertical angles, right? So therefore, I know that, let me do some blue. M plus 66 plus M, let me write this better, plus M, that is equal to 120, or the vertical angle to all those combined. You can solve that now. 2M plus 66 equals 120. All right. I got to subtract away the number first, right? So 120 minus 66, that should give you what, 54? Okay. So now 2M, two of those M's is equal to 54. Last thing, I have two of them. I want one. I need to know how much one is, so I need to divide the numbers by 2. So now one of those M's is equal to 27. Again, those M's equal to 27. Add them up. That should give you 120, which is the opposite side or the opposite angle or the vertical angle of that pair or those triples, right? Okay, so that's pretty much it. So just reviewing from the lesson, how can equations help us solve for an angle measure? Say it helps us to represent angles among angles. Well, let me read that again. It allows us to represent relationships among angles. So again, that vertical angle that relates to each other, or the supplementary complementary, right? Once we do that, we can create an equation and then solve for it. So is there only one way to solve for an unknown angle measure? Not really. There's a lot of different ways, right? If I was to look at this one, I could do some other things to it, but we kind of go with the way that works best for you. It's kind of like, pick a path, but it'll all end up in the same place as long as you're doing the correct steps with it, right? Okay, so that's what we learned today. We learned to create an equation, and we learned how to solve the missing angle to it, all right? There is a learning activity for this. It's a lot lighter, I swear. Again, you can come to my office hours. That'll be this Thursday, so tomorrow at 1 p.m., I believe. Other than that, though, good luck today. Hopefully this was a good lesson. Remember, we have a proficiency check as well, okay? That will be posted in the review video. Good luck.